We are live and we are back for another YEV, a balanced look at the news and all things electric vehicle. And today I've got Kevin. I know Alex is going to be joining us very, very soon. And we're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, and we are on X live, only on X and YouTube. But yeah, we're going to be talking about this week's and last couple of weeks because we weren't here for Easter, were we, Kev? Too busy eating chocolate.
Yeah, I've still got a big supply of chocolate to get through. It's a hard job, but someone's got to do it.
Well, I believe that this is a factual bit of information about calorie intake of chocolate Easter. Is if you eat it all in one go, it's less calories than eating it over a long period of time. So
I must get up my game on it then.
Well, mine's all gone, mate. So, but this isn't all about Easter eggs and chocolate. Although that would be a nice podcast, I think. Hi, Dean. How are we doing? Good to see you.
Hello. Actually, on the subject of Easter eggs, I did have a Grandland a couple of weeks ago.
You had a what?
A Vauxhall Grandland, and Vauxhall put Easter eggs on all of their cars.
Nice.
So there's like little sharks everywhere. It started back with the Corsa in 2004. When one of the designer's daughters, when he was designing the glove box, said, can you make it more interesting? So he put a shark on the hinge, and now it's become a thing that they hide pictures of sharks on all of the Vauxhalls.
All the Stellantis is like that, isn't it? The Jeep stuff has got all sorts of little emblems and stuff like that. I mean, I think it's a complete waste of time, personally. Maybe like the odd one, but yeah, I think people have gone a bit OTT. So yeah, there we go. In terms of EV news and what's been happening out there has been a hell of a lot happening, and something that I wanted to talk about because I do like a bit of battery action, don't I, Kev? Batteries seem to be my favorite. CATL have got two announcements in the last couple of weeks, if not last week, where they have got two new batteries, and one of the batteries can charge at 1,300 kilowatts. Alex is just making ready. 1,300 kilowatts, which normally, Kev, and I've said this before, that I don't get excited by stupidly powerful batteries because you've got to charge the thing, haven't you? You've got to have the power to actually charge at that speed. However, what really excited me is the fact that you can charge that electric car faster than a petrol one. We've done it. We've finally done it. YEV, because you can charge it quicker than you can fill your car with petrol.
Yeah. The only problem we do have to remember with that is that we do have to make sure the grid is there, because you think 1,300 kilowatts is probably one kind of average motorway servicing hub with all the chargers on it.
We've got enough coal-powered fire stations to power them all. It'll be absolutely fine. We won't have any issues, so we'll be okay there. So that was my first bit of exciting EV news recently. But it doesn't end there, because CATL also has been highlighting their new sodium battery. And their new sodium battery, which unfortunately sodium batteries don't tend to have as much power in them. So they don't tend to be as popular. And with the price of lithium coming down, sodium batteries didn't seem any point with it, because that's the reason for sodium batteries, because they're cheaper, generally speaking. But CATL have got this new battery, which has got the power density, and also it's rated to 4.8 million miles. No, kilometers. Whoops. So yeah, 4.8. What's that in old money?
It's a little under 3. So it's a lot of miles. I mean, that's going to be something for ride-sharing vehicles and stuff, isn't it? And buses and trucks.
I mean, how far away are we, guys, from, full self-driving taxis? We've got Johnny cabs everywhere. Only car enthusiasts own cars. You need to go somewhere. You get your phone out, or you don't even have a phone. You press a button on your arm, and something pulls up, takes you away to where you need to be, and off it goes again. I don't think we're that far away. Got to be like 10 years for a Johnny cab. What do you reckon?
They're all going to come with Robert Picardo.
20, 30 years, I reckon.
You reckon? I don't reckon it's as long as that. I mean,
I think it's at least 20 years away. Seriously.
Because you've got to remember, there's all the squidgy drivers that aren't autonomous, that all these autonomous cars have to work out how to avoid.
Yeah, you might be able to get around, say, a small part of central London, or areas with highly controlled traffic, but you're not going to have fully autonomous vehicles in large numbers with no steering wheel doing. I don't see it within the next probably 20 years. You'll start to see some of them coming through, but I don't see it before then. Just a hunch.
I reckon in America with the cyber cab, I reckon it's going to be within 5 years in those sort of places. No issues at all. I mean, they're already rolling them out in, Austin and California, right? That's going to be very, very soon. I think within 5 years, I reckon that'll be a thing. Maybe not in the UK outside of cities, because, it isn't quite as, there are a lot of things that maybe full self-driving might not recognize, but
Hotels. We got a lot of those.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, I need some sort of special vision to see the road quality. But yeah. But no, I know that you guys had quite a few things to bring to EV News. But for me, it was all about the new batteries, the crazy power ones, and the long one with the longevity. CATL have absolutely knocked it out of the park with them. I'm not sure where Alex has gone. He's
just vanished. Looks like his connection went all pixely and then he vanished.
Sorry, say again, mate.
He went all pixely and then he vanished. So I think it's a data
connection thing. So yeah, you had something to bring to the table in terms of EV news, Kev. You had quite a bit, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the big thing for news for new vehicles has been the Shanghai Auto Show. I mean, there's been a lot of stuff revealed there. You've got MG with their Cyber X, which is a big kind of SUV version. You've got a load of new brands, some which are coming to the UK, which are already here. You've got Leapmotor unveiled one of the most aerodynamic vehicles on the market, which on the Chinese test cycles getting over 400 miles. So WLTP is a bit stricter, so it'll get like 300, but it's got quite a small battery.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be one of the things that's because it's more aerodynamic than the Ioniq 6, so it's proper aerodynamics.
Sorry, guys. What's going on this week?
We're just talking about the Leapmotor, which has got some crazy co-efficiency.
Yeah, that was unveiled in Shanghai. Anything that stands out from Shanghai from you? There's a lot of Volkswagen announcements there, so.
Yeah, I think it's interesting looking at the styling on those and how there appears to be a divergence, I think, between the European and the Chinese market Volkswagen stuff. That's the thing that struck me. I mean, I know that's a kind of a surface level thing, but you look at cars like the what's it called, the ID Everyone concept that was shown recently here. They're really harking back to that kind of classic Volkswagen styling, classic Volkswagen proportions. Whereas the Chinese stuff that was shown, the three concept cars they showed this week, are starting to look more like the kind of they look more like the kind of the Chinese market stuff, which is inevitable. But I think that kind of struck those. But yeah, I mean, I've had a busy couple of weeks with Easter holidays and so on and so forth. So I've not been as in touch with the news as I normally would be. And I'm sorry, but my internet connection is really not playing ball this week, and I don't really know why. I don't know if I'm dipping out or as much as
you were
guys
a tiny
are,
bit. Well, no, you're okay, mate. You're okay. Yeah. Yeah, so quite a lot of VW stuff at the Shanghai. You know what? I didn't see anything from the Shanghai. I probably saw a couple of photos come out. Because I've been concentrating more on the van market at the moment. Because I've got the CV show this week with Dynamon, and it does look like it's going to be quite a busy event from a commercial vehicle market point of view. We've got the new Horizon van coming from Geely. I think that's going to be there. Also got the Flexis van. Flexis is a brand that is made up of Volvo truck, Renault, and another company that does containers, CMA, I want to call it. And they've come together and built this van from the ground up. And that looks really impressive, because that's 800 volts, that thing, which I think is the first van LCV to have high voltage like that. So that's going to be interesting to see at the CV show. It'd be interesting to know if anyone else is making it down there. So yeah, come and see us. I'm at the Dynamon stand, especially if you want to spend some money on some EV transition decarbonisation using your own data with the Dynamon Zero tool. So sort of get that plug in there.
Best place to start.
Yeah, the other thing that's going to be there is the Isuzu full electric pickup supposedly being unveiled there. So the first full electric pickup to the UK that's all-wheel drive with the same capabilities as the diesel version. So, you've had the Maxus, but that's been limited to two-wheel drive.
Oh no, the new Maxus something 7. Oh, well, I can't remember the name of it now. That's full drive. That looks a lot better than the T90 that came out.
I think it's still limited on what it can tow. Apparently, the Isuzu from the previews of it is supposed to be able to tow 3.5 tons, exactly the same as the diesel equivalent.
Wow, that is big news.
If I had a double cab electric or plug-in hybrid pickup, I would be rushing it to the UK at the moment because there is a gap in the market. For those who not less familiar with the way that the double cab pickup tax has changed recently, and so it's being taxed as a car instead of as a van. They've removed the loophole basically that allowed people to have what was essentially like a slightly firmer riding SUV for not a lot of money. So it's now taxed on CO2. They're all high CO2 bands, and it's typically like a 6 times increase in your company car tax. So if you can bring an electrical plug-in hybrid double cab pickup to the UK at the moment, you've got an open door with people who are going to want that kind of vehicle, because obviously it's taxed then on low CO2, and it's even cheaper than it would have been to have a diesel one. Interesting stuff, but
no, that is really interesting.
I've learned something. The plug-in hybrid version that's in the show as well, the new plug-in hybrid Ranger. The other van is PV5 is launched the Kia one.
Yeah, that's an interesting vehicle. Very, very nice thing. Not 800 volt, but yeah, we've done some tests actually. I did some tests of the ID Buzz and the e-Transit and the PL5 on the simulation tool that we've got, and yeah, the Kia was just about beating all of them, which was interesting. But yeah, that's interesting you say about the Isuzu pickup full drive, because I didn't realize that they had one. That, like Alex said, that is huge because there's no other vehicle out there like it, and they can obviously take advantage of the the reduction of tax and stuff. But yeah, just making sure they get that depot charging or home charging right, and all the other things that come with the changing your vehicle to electric. You need to get those things right, or it's bound to not do so well. But have you got any other tips on CV show this week?
Trying to think. That's the main ones. I mean, there'll obviously be the huge range of accessories and tops and van conversion stuff. So I think there's going to be a lot of electric vans there and trucks now. More in this show than I think we've ever seen. Yeah. In that show, I think it's really coming to its fore that vans need to have the focus on them now, because the vans have lagged behind everything else.
There's such an opportunity with electric vans in the UK, but like I said, just doing it right is so important. Making sure they plan for the infrastructure, etc. So yeah, an interesting time, I think, for sure.
Actually, on the van thing, I've noticed as well, Alex might be able to answer. I've noticed that the newer versions of like your Rifter, Alex, and the van versions now seem to be sporting the 52 kilowatt hour pack. Does that mean they've now switched to the new motors on all of the vans from the Stellantis group? So is there going to be more efficiency with those?
Berlingo's gone LFP, so it's apparently according to the press kit. So. Whereas they haven't done that with because I had the Corsa when that was announced, and I thought, I wonder if they've done that on the Corsa as well. Corsa's still an MC, but apparently they've gone LFP on the latest versions of the smaller Stellantis vans, which makes a lot of sense, I suppose.
Yes, so there is another thing I saw.
I think they're still using the old motor though.
Yeah. One news article that did annoy me this week was an article about a certain Nissan Aria that was driven by a journalist 200 miles, and a big story about there being no infrastructure, which is, I mean, I don't know why these stories are still proliferating now. I mean, myself, we've all done this since the beginning, and there was no infrastructure in the beginning. You know, when we were driving AC rapid charging Zoes, you had to rely on a charger working. But this story featured driving to Castle Combe and then no chargers. But Castle Combe's in Chippenham. There's a big truck stop which has a big Ionity hub, literally 2 miles from there. You've got Lee Delamere, you've got Reading, you've got so many charging hubs. I mean, I just don't get why these stories get.
Lee Delamere was my first charging stop when I had a Zoe 10 years ago. I mean, 10 years ago, you could stop at Lee Delamere and you could get straight on from there to Castle Combe. It's not difficult. And if you were coming out of London, you could do.
Yep. Oh. Alex is not having
London. You could
Spanish. Not having a good time with his reception today. But yeah, it is disappointing. But this is the problem. Anything out there media-wise, they're just trying to get attention. And I think I hope that people just can see that, or the majority of people. I know that some people are still kind of taken in by these stories, these negative stories, because the negative stories always tend to do better. People will click on them. You know, I can tell you that the videos that I do, if I look like I'm having a bad time, they always do better than ones me being happy. So more bad times with EVs. And on that point, actually, not this week, but the following week, the reason I'm in the garage is because I have space around me, because the TVR is no longer in the garage because it's just outside, because we were looking at it today. So I've got some news to update people on the next couple of weeks. So that should be interesting, although it's not particularly good news for me. So it will be an unhappy face, and it's bound to do well then. So.
Yeah. And I've just realised, I've just noticed Dean's comment. And yeah, he's found something that's going to defeat all autonomous cars. The Swindon Magic Roundabout.
Oh, well, what's so bad about Swindon Magic Roundabout then?
Have you never been on the Magic Roundabout?
No.
It's a roundabout of roundabouts.
No, I've not been on it. I've got a really bad one near me anyway, so it's kind of.
Yeah, but this one is like, so there's a route. So think of it as like 6 roundabouts around a big roundabout. It kind of works, but it is very weird when you see it.
Yeah, that does sound very, very fun. I'll tell you something else that people need to start preparing for. It'd be interesting to know if anyone in the comments, anyone watching it live or later, is doing the EV rally this year, the London to Brighton. Although I think where's it going after that?
Amsterdam, I believe, if you want to extend it.
Okay.
So Tom, the guy, is it the big yellow bus company guy?
Yep.
He does the European leg, and he's taking it all the way to Amsterdam.
Yeah, and I know you and Alex are doing the EV rally, but I'm in an RE whether to do it or not. I certainly need a passenger. I need to choose an electric car. I mean, I could get my missus to do the other one, but I don't think she'd be up for that. So
I like the way you just said you need to choose an electric car. What you were thinking of doing it in a petrol?
Well, you know, I've got, which Tesla do I take? I doubt the TVR is going to be ready by then. Oh, good old TVR, eh?
Are the Teslas rated to tow?
Well, I've got tow bar option on my white one.
So what you could do is take the TVR on the trailer to make it an even bigger challenge, to tow an electric car with an electric car.
Yeah,
London to Brighton.
I don't think it's got that much towing capacity, and also I don't have a trailer. But that would be quite a cool thing. Imagine if it caught fire while I was in London at the back.
Well, you abandon the trailer with your TVR.
I won't say where I'll abandon the trailer, but I think it would be probably quite close to the centre.
There is that thing. They do say a TVR is basically spotting how it's going to kill you.
Oh, yeah. Always. If it's not trying to kill you, it's not a TVR. So simple as that. We should get back onto the news. It looks like Alex is going to try and join us again. I'm not sure that the longevity is going to be there. Hang on, let's have a look. He's back again. It's all right, mate.
First this week. Right. I'm sorry. I don't know what is going on with this.
Yeah. Don't worry, mate. Don't worry. What were you saying before you dropped off, buddy?
Oh, just that if you're going to Castle Combe from Lee Delamere 10 years ago in a vehicle with 80 miles, like say a Renault Zoe, first generation Renault Zoe, you could do it via Reading and Lee Delamere. It's not particularly handy, but it's like 40 odd minutes of charging. You'd easily get to Castle Combe. You could loop back and give yourself a comfort charge at Lee Delamere on the way back out, and you'd be fine. It's easy. It's not. Yeah.
I think my gripe with public charging non-Tesla is the fact that the reliability is not that great. Sometimes actually getting it to connect is not that great. And yeah, you really do have to stick to the bigger sites. I think you can't go to a site where there's only a couple, because if one's out of use and then the other one's being used or what have you, you're in trouble. But like you said, and like we've highlighted before, there are a lot of big charging hubs now, and driving around the UK using the public charging infrastructure is possible. It's just not as cheap as Tesla or as quick or as reliable.
Yeah, so use Tesla. That's what I always do. If I can, if there's a Tesla charger, I'll make a detour to go to it.
I did say actually, now you mention it, I did see something in the news about certain Tesla chargers are turning away non-Teslas for some unknown reason. Did you guys see that?
No, I missed that.
I've
never had any issues with it, but
let me find that again. I'll let you guys carry on while I find that.
Yeah, Tesla stuff's brilliant. I mean, you have to use the app for it, really. I mean, the contactless stuff I've had issues with, but the app's always brilliant, and it's quick, it's reliable. And it's cheap too. I mean, it's significantly cheaper than the neighboring networks. So,
and in one certain services, it's right next to the neighboring network. It's literally the other side. You face each other.
It was on the Dave Takes It On YouTube channel. I don't know if you recognize that guy. I'm not sure if it's a guy or not, to be honest. He's got a bit of a Pauline cut, hasn't he? As I would call it. So yeah, from October 15th, 2024, these superchargers will not be open to Tesla. I mean, I didn't watch it. It could be fake news. This is not fake news. This is live EV podcast, YEV news.
It's in.
Well, from my perspective, I've never had any issues with it, and there's often delivery vans and stuff using the ones up near us. So it's lucky they've got large spaces for big wide Model S's than Model X's that are good for charging big vans too.
That reminds me of people, highlighting certain negativity towards Elon Musk and then using the Tesla charger network. Yeah,
you've got to separate the product from the person, as I've said all along with this. Absolutely.
Yeah. What else is going on? Has anyone seen anything else in the news the last couple of weeks? Because we missed a week from Easter, didn't we?
We did, yeah. It's always a quiet period over the Easter period, isn't it? So
the biggest thing is obviously which we talked about earlier, the Shanghai Auto Show, which does seem to be where the manufacturers launch a lot of new products now.
Key market, especially for everything electric. So,
yeah, well,
I mean that was the show that was over the Easter holidays, which we haven't spoken about at all. Was everything electric?
That's a very good point, actually. Yeah. So I was at Everything Electric that week. Did you guys pop down at all?
No, I missed it.
I did a summary video which people might have seen, and yeah, I mean there was a couple of the vans were there actually, the newer vans. What else was there? Oh yes, there was a new brand there called Wan. It always starts with a Wan, doesn't it? It
was a red car, I know that.
Yeah, it was like
sounded like such a non-car person.
It was a decent car. It was a genuinely decent car. It's made by the company that helped Mazda and Ford with their EV products, and in joint Changwang. No.
Or something.
What is it?
Chang'an? Isn't it Chang'an?
I think that's it.
It sounds a bit like Chang'an. But yeah, it was actually really impressive, just under £40,000, and the quality inside was really, really good. Yeah, and when you sit down in the vehicle, the screen tilts to you, which is pretty impressive. What was it? the Emoda was there, and I got into that, and I wasn't that impressed with the quality. I got into the new MGS5.
Oh, what's that like?
That was nice. That was nice inside. So MG's replacement for the ZS. That was actually the quality in that was a lot better than the Emoda. When I got into the Emoda, I was like, this is just not nice. I just didn't like it. MG I liked. I thought that was okay. And then the Chang'an one was really impressive. But I'm getting the MG is less expensive than the Chang'an. But yeah, it was a nice vehicle, nice spec. And I think they're coming out in the next couple of months. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting market. There's so much choice, isn't there now? So much choice on electric cars. If you compare it to what it was 10 years ago when you guys were talking about chargers, you know, it was Nissan Leaf, Renault Zoe, or a Mitsubishi Eon.
iMe.
iMe.
Or the Peugeot and Citroen versions of.
Yeah.
I remember those Peugeot and Citroen. That was the least effort I've ever seen made in badge engineering. It was literally badge engineering, wasn't it? You had a different steering thing and a different badge on the front.
You say that. Don't forget the Mazda 121. Do you remember those? The Fiesta with the Mazda badge on it, basically.
Oh, yeah.
They were pretty lazy, but...
Well, it's like the Toyota Aygo, Peugeot 107 and Citroen C1, you know.
Yeah.
At least they had different bumpers.
Yeah, that's about it. Different headlights. Yeah. Great. All of them great cars. That little Daihatsu 3-cylinder.
I did Toyota Sprint series about 15, 16 years ago, and there was a guy that turned up with a completely bog standard, other than it had the back seats taken out, Aygo, red one. Turned up, put a set of track tyres on it, and he was getting around the track faster than some of the guys that were there in Supers and stuff, just because he was just foot to the floor the whole way around, probably. But great fun.
Yeah.
Well, you've driven one thing that neither of us have driven. Alex, you're one of the few people in this conversation that's driven the Aygo Crazy. So
yeah, a long time ago. Yeah, I'm surprised that's still around. That's it's a cool, interesting car. Basically, have you seen that? The wide-bodied Aygo drops over.
It was rear-wheel drive. What was the engine in it?
It was basically an MR2 with an Aygo body on top and a turbo conversion and no brake servo and enormous brakes. It was hilarious, but yeah, it's
and there's an electric car that's kind of channeling that at the moment. Have you seen the videos and the pictures of the Insta-Ride?
Yes, yeah.
And
we're starting to see the crazy stuff going. Renault sold out of all the Turbo 3Es, didn't they? All 700 of them sold within how many hours? Like within a day, anyway. And they were like 120 odd £1,000 each. And they've sold out almost immediately, which is a good sign as well. I mean, that's very much an enthusiast electric car, dual motor, but dual motor, two motors at the rear axle, isn't it? So.
Oh, really? I didn't know the spec of it. But yeah, I mean, I think the buzz around, and I've said it before, the Renault 5 electric car is just big at the moment. I think that's going to be, once you start seeing those on the road, I think it's one of those sort of cars that I think a lot of people are in awe of. It just looks so much in terms of the look. The look is just bang on. I saw a lovely dark blue one. This one recently. So yeah, I think with those on the, no, it's not a Yang Wang thing. It sounded a bit like that, didn't it? So yeah, there are like all these electric cars. There's so much to choose from now, and it's just that tech, isn't it? You know, once they've got 500-mile range, I'll buy one. Oh, honestly, if I
have almost got 500-mile range, you just glue your two Teslas together.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Just stack the batteries. Put the other battery pack on the roof rack.
Yeah. Well, the batteries are that high in the TVR. That's what's going to make it ultra dangerous, because the batteries are way too high. It topple over. I don't think they've got the best record for toppling over the TVR wedges and the inhabitants surviving. So it'll be an early death for Chargehead here.
You got to roll cage it.
Yeah, probably.
Because yours is the convertible, isn't it? It's not got a roof, yours.
Yeah, to be fair, I did actually look for a non-convertible like I say hard top, it's hardly hard. The coupe version, and they actually did a 2+2 of one as well. But all the ones that I could find, they were either too much money or they were really bad condition wise. Which is funny because I mean the wedge is in a bit of a state, so didn't used to look like that.
So do you feel that that window frame is strong enough to support the weight of the car then, like in a modern convertible?
Not really. No, it's got a nice. Go on.
Sorry.
I was going to say it's got a nice thick bar across just behind the driver's seat, which wasn't very thick before, but it's a lot thicker now. So that actually should help the rigidity slightly. Yeah, the weight's going to be awful on it. It is literally going to be death on four wheels. So,
so the best cars are always that, aren't they? That's,
yeah, I mean, all the electric cars are way too safe, and nanny controls everything. So it's trying to escape that. It might have escaped it a bit too much, though. That's the problem. And this is kind of my gripe with all the skateboard chassis on a lot of these, not just electric cars, but also EV conversions, that they'll all kind of drive the same. Whereas when you've got, who was it that there was an electric car recently that didn't do that? It was the Renault, wasn't it? Where they put the batteries in the back to make it more. Who was that?
Tell you who else is doing that is Lotus.
It was Lotus
did. Where they've got I think 3 different configurations. So they've got a kind of a standard subframe for the back, but then you can mount the batteries 3 different ways within it. So you can have chest style battery to mimic the weight of an engine on a mid-engine car, or you can have a 2+2 with the batteries under the floor, and it just standardizes some of the pickup points at the back where you would mount the motor and stuff. Really interesting project. I haven't seen anything come of it since, but
well, they've in their newest Lotus supercar, whatever it is, that's got the batteries in the back to mimic that style of that kind of ice style that the Lotus would have in the Esprit, let's say. So mine's going to be interesting because it's going to have weight in the front and the weight behind. So you could argue it will feel like the engine's in the back, which will be exciting. Doesn't sound like I will actually be able to get the front end back after going sideways. So we're overtaking myself. I think I need some good tires. Sorry, Kev.
Speaking of Lotus, I did see a post, I think it was on LinkedIn, that the Lotus SUV actually got the highest charging speed in GridServe on one of their newest chargers. I think they've got 360 chargers, and it beat the Porsche. So it's now the Lotus is the fastest charging EV, which it goes to show what Lotus can actually do when they've got money. I mean, they've been the way of TVR almost many times, but they became brought back from the brink.
No one can be nothing can be like TVR. Nothing.
Are they coming back again, aren't they, TVR? Haven't they got a new CEO?
I tell you what, on my Facebook, sorry, I've got to get this in, Alex. Sorry, on my Facebook, I saw a reminder from 3 years ago saying that the TVR Griffith electric was going to be out in 2014. And I reposted that saying neither TVRs are electric at the moment. Mine and the Griffith. But yeah, that company took them over. Or like Joint took over TVR and said that they were going to do something, but they haven't.
They were supposed to be in Wales, weren't they? Because people were saying that it's a shame they didn't call it the Griffith. The Griffiths, like the Welsh, Ewan Griffith. If they were going to do it here, it was up in Ebbw Vale, wasn't it? And then it's kind of all gone quiet again. I mean, I think because people were saying that the prototype that they had out there was reaching its first MOT and would have been reaching its first MOT. I think it was last year, and that there still wasn't a vehicle. They still weren't in production with it. So yeah, it's one of those ones. Who knows whether they'll come back or whether people will want to do anything when they do. So
yeah,
it just seems to be one of those things that keeps moving, doesn't it?
I mean, there's an opportunity there. There's definitely an opportunity there. That's right. Everything Electric. There was Austin Motor Company were there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they had a 2-seater sports car. That was a lovely looking thing. If you watch my Everything Electric video, Alex, you'll see it.
I shall catch up with it. Yeah, I'm behind with my news content, so I shall take your recommendation on that.
It was an impressive looking thing. So yeah, I think they're starting to do test drives as well soon. It's not like crazy quick or anything like that. It's just
not a car, is it? They've capped the top speed at 60 to keep it within the motorized quadricycle rules.
Okay.
So it's a motorized quadricycle, but it's probably quite fun because it weighs virtually nothing.
Do you know what? As like a country hack, and you don't want to take that type of vehicle on the motorway anyway, realistically. But if you live in the country and you just want to, go for golf in the lovely weather, or pop down to the shops or go to lunch with the good lady, put your scarf on, your goggles, and away you go. So quite a romantic type of vehicle, but I don't think we're going to see it in McDonald's car park anytime soon.
You're going to need a scarf and goggles with your TVR.
No, you'll have to knit me one, Kev.
You're going to say you're going to need a crash helmet with your TVR.
I've got a couple of crash helmets around me, mate, so I should be all right. I don't know where the other one's gone.
At least you have the thing where you take the goggles off and you've got the kind of the oily mark, the outline of the oil around your glasses.
It's true. Well, I was laughing at the plaque on the TVR engine bay. It's like lubricant for oil, lubricant for gearbox, lubricant for diff. No, still got the diff. That's right. Got that right. Yeah. Oh, there we go. What's this? Dean has mentioned McLaren are pulling out of Formula E. I think this is the start of exotic manufacturers turning their back on the EV drivetrains and just accept the fines that go producing ICE vehicles. But didn't that was an EV that Aston Martin and one of the other companies like that, they are going to have some sort of special treatment or something along those lines?
Yeah, there's a volume thing, isn't there? They're looking at preserving people in, having carve-outs for lower volume people in manufacturers in the UK to kind of avoid hammering small businesses and kind of allowing them to not invest that huge amount of money in EV. I mean, I don't know whether I can see some of the sense in it, but at the same time, I mean, it's a difficult thing to tread, isn't it? As the government, if you put policies in place that kill companies like that.
Yeah, it was McLaren and someone else, wasn't
it? Possibly somebody like Morgan.
Yeah,
Morgan's really low volume anyway, isn't it? So.
Oh, I don't know if anybody saw it, but I think it was Johnny Smith on Late Break Show. They went to go and see the new Morgan. Oh my goodness, that thing was unbelievable. Unbelievable. Was it John? I think it was Johnny Smith. Yeah, that actually got me excited about a petrol car, and I haven't been excited about a new petrol car for a long time. And it was genuinely really interesting in terms of what they'd done. Quality wise, and it's still obviously all hand built as well, isn't it?
A lot of BMW bits on a Morgan these days, though, isn't there?
Been the case for a while.
Yeah. Well, it's the same with a lot of things. I mean, Felton skateboard that Sebring use and that Moggy's going to be using, I guess, on the Thor. That was all BMW suspension parts. For more detail, go back to the Chargeheads UK YouTube channel, and the Sebring videos on there. There's a bit of detail of the chassis and the motor and everything else that's in there if anyone's interested.
I remember it wasn't that long ago. Aren't Ford going to start shipping crate motors in the same way as they ship crate engines? So you'll be able to buy a Ford crate electric motor
do it as well. Gets you GM as well.
There's a company, I can't remember. I think Borg Warner have just taken them on. And I think Legacy EV have something to do with it as well, where it's actually an 800-volt EV conversion, and it's a drop-in. So most American, if it had an LS or something like that in there, it's pretty much a drop-in for Mustangs and things like that. That was a really, really impressive conversion. Keith, the ZEV mandate provides exemptions for small and micro volume manufacturers. This applies to any firm producing fewer than 2,500 cars a year for the UK market. There we go.
So Caterham will probably fall into that as well, won't it?
Yeah, they would. Yeah.
Who? Sorry,
Caterham. Not the Caterham.
Did you say Kev?
Caterham will probably fall into that.
Okay, I found this on the web for How Do You Say Kev. Check it out.
That's right.
We're all getting hammered by technology this evening. It's the evening of the evening of the tech glitch.
Yeah, they thought I was asking it a question. But yeah, anyway, let's move.
But then when was Caterham's last new model as such? They've been making the same car for like how long?
Yeah, that's yeah. I think since the wide body, possibly the last would have been the last newer ones, wouldn't it? So,
I remember an MPG marathon with Alex where they had a Caterham on it.
And it was the only one they had to refuel because the fuel tank was too small to do 2 days worth of driving, even with an efficient driver at the wheel.
Yeah. I sat in it and thought, that bit of metal doesn't look very thick if someone crashes into the side of it.
Oh, you can't think like that. You can't think like that. Caterhams are awesome little cars. Be very tempted by a Caterham and they're right up your street, Kev. I mean, imagine the efficiency you'd be able to get out of a Caterham.
Yeah, but
you could have a little Caterham sports car. You'd probably get the best part of 100 miles per gallon out of one of those because they weigh about as much as a gnat's fart. You know, so
I like airbags and stuff like that, though. It's a problem.
You won't like the TVR then. Although the TVR, the wedge has got side impact protection. The Griff didn't, I don't think. BBOIV.
You're going to say it's like your left arm or right arm is side impact protection.
Pretty much, yeah. I would love to see in all new vehicles air quality gauges to show pollutant levels.
Some stuff has it.
Chinese brands do, don't they? They have the PM 2.5 monitoring and stuff on them.
I can't remember if I think the Grandland does, because I'm sure it's got a thing in it where it's got a picture of an unhappy car and it shows how good or bad the air quality is locally when you're driving to school, which is a bit terrifying in some ways.
Oh God!
The weird thing is, I really like the Grandland, and I went into it with low expectations.
I told you,
genuinely a good car.
And Evo's just done a column saying it's time to rename the Astra because the new one's really good. And I agree. I think the new Astra is a good little car. I like the Astra EV a lot.
This is all blasphemy. It's all blasphemy. You can't call Vauxhalls good cars. I obviously need to drive one of these things.
They are. The new stuff's good, and yeah, it's.
They've got their mojo back now, I think.
What's that?
They've got their mojo back, like with things like Lotus, the Lotus Carltons and the VXRs and.
What struck me about the Grandland is that it's one of those just really sensibly equipped EVs. You know, cars just have all the stuff you need and just without being frivolous with it. It's got all the space you want. It's got all the kind of adaptability in terms of the cabin that you want. It's got enough range, but not excessive range. It's got enough performance, but not excessive performance. It's got good quality cloth seats instead of that horrible cheap leather that you get in vehicles where they've cut the price and they've tried to put like a top end one in but keep the price low, and it's got, you know, trimmed in like chain smoking rhino skin. You know, it's not pleasant. This feels like a quality product, and it's, you know, it's a good car.
Mark's got a question. So how long are small volume manufacturers going to be able to get engines from large OEMs?
That is a good point. Yeah.
Because they switch, you know, with Ford and, as you say, GM switching to crate motors, as in electric motors. Does that mean they'll slowly stop doing their other ones?
But if you think like Ford in America, the big engines, a lot of those come from the States. So your V8s and V6s are going to be available in the States for a good long while yet, and they're going to be able to get them from there. I mean, tariff-wise, who knows? But there's going to be a supply of V8 engines out of the States for 10 to 15 years easily, I reckon.
Yeah, and there's that company that he does something amazing with Mazda MX-5s. He puts a V6 in them, and that is a reconditioned special Alpha V6, I think, from memory. I'm trying to remember the name of the company, but this MX-5, I mean, I think it was on Haggerty YouTube channel. This thing was absolutely beautiful. So it's a Mark 1 and just had a couple of style updates, and interior was just gorgeous. And this V6 just burbled away, and it just had all the torque, but it wasn't too scary because the mods or the upgrades on it were sensible. But that would be such an amazing package as an all-round kind of a sports car. I definitely wouldn't say no to that. That's ultimately what, you know, the Griff the Griff was a great car, probably too much power, but just you can't play with it. And that's with the MX-5 and things like that. You can just play with it. If it goes a bit sideways, you get it back. It's not something to be too scared of. And obviously manual as well. I think for me, it's, and I kind of wish I'd done a manual conversion on the TVR, but more powerful than the normal manuals that Electrogenic and electric classic cars done with the Hyper 9 motor with the manual gearbox. Something a bit more powerful than that, but still with the manual gearbox. Because just do love a manual, or maybe that is just gone. You just can't have a fun electric manual car, and you just have to just rely on it just being as dangerous as possible. So maybe I have literally
do we think gears are going to be coming back to EVs? Because I've been reading on, that's been another thing I noticed in the news, is the Mercedes CLA, the new one, is going to have a 2-speed gearbox in it.
So you're never going to need 5 or 6 ratios in the same way. I think you might start to see maybe some of the stuff that I know Toyota and Lexus got rounded on for this a couple of years ago. And I've mentioned it before on this about where you can download a simulation basically that adjusts the torque output for the motor to simulate driving a 4-cylinder or whatever you want it to feel like, and you can then have a kind of a manual gear stick that interrupts the flow of torque to the wheels and kind of gives you that sense of driving a manual. We've talked about it with the 5N as well, haven't we, where the gear shift mode in that gives you some sense of just kind of going up and down through gears and kind of how that influences the way the power is delivered. You might see a bit more of that, and I do think it adds something to it, much to my surprise, as we think we covered back when I drove it a couple of months ago, and when Kev drove it as well. So
it's got no torque if you try and accelerate on the motorway in 8th, though, does it? It doesn't seem weird. You stick it in 8 speed and it's like, it won't accelerate on the motorway from 50 to 70.
It's a hard thing to get right, and yet actually it kind of works and it kind of adds something to it. So I think you might start to see fakey manual stuff maybe in sort of niche applications, but I don't think most people really care. I mean, I'm talking to my kids and trying to explain to them why I would want to drive like this, where it's got a manual gearbox, and they kind of say, well, but in the van, you just get in and you stick it in D and off it goes. Like, why would you want to do that? Like, what's wrong with you? Like it just. I think there's a generation of kids who are growing up now who will. I mean, hopefully mine will show an interest in driving a manual. Otherwise, my car's going to sit idle at some point. But I think people are just going to get used to it, and it's going to be one of those things you don't think about, like not having a choke or things like that. It won't be something that's even considered to be part of the experience.
I think having a manual gearbox, you could argue that it's going to be so specialist. It's if it's not on the road, it's going to be you could have ICE and hybrid out there, but manuals could be completely a thing of the past, and you could argue in 30, 40, 50, maybe 50. Well, how old are the people driving at the moment? So 15. So maybe in 50 years' time, it literally just die out, because no one will see the point, because no one got encapsulated the fun and excitement of a manual gearbox on an ICE vehicle.
Or driving at all, in a lot of cases.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. What, you're going to drive the bus? Why do you want to drive the bus for? You just sit in it. But a bus isn't exciting to drive, so unless you're going crazy speed, I suppose. So yeah, it's an interesting subject, that one.
I can't remember who it was. There was an engineer from one of the manufacturers. I cannot remember who it was. It would have been Nissan or Volvo, or somebody who was involved with this quite early on. But they were saying that we think of using a phone, using social media, browsing the internet as being an interruption to the driving experience. So the kids that are growing up now have been glued to phones, or have had access to touch screens and things at home and at school their entire lives. To them, the driving will be the distraction from their digital lives. They won't want to get in a car and switch off for 2 hours. I think that's bliss. Personally, for me, the idea of getting away from a screen for a couple of hours does my brain the world of good. It makes me realize how, you can just lose hours staring at a screen. But I think kids these days are going to be used to that being the other way around. And the idea of having to go into an environment where you have to focus on something other than your social life is it's going to feel very odd. But I mean, we're starting to see things like, I mean, there's a lot of stuff about driver-facing cameras and things that are starting to come in now with GSR2, General Safety Regulation 2 in Europe. So you have to have something that's looking at your face. If you're putting that tech in a car, there's talk about doing things like having selfie cams and things. I mean, what vehicles have got that? What have I seen that in? I don't want that in the car. I don't want a Teams meeting while I'm driving the car. I want to be able to just focus on being in that space and getting away from it all for a bit, and even taking calls in the car. I'm not a massive fan of, just because I just think it's nice to. We get so little opportunities to really switch off these days, and I think being in a car is actually one of those rare opportunities to just stick some music on, stick a podcast on, just get away from it all for a bit. So I'm on a proper tangent here, but
No,
you've never added tech into your Polo, have you? You like your Polo is fairly tech free as far as it hasn't got like a modern stereo with Bluetooth and Android.
It's got no radio in it. No, it's no music in it at all. I take a Bluetooth speaker with me if I want to listen to music on the go, but generally speaking, it's just man and machine when I'm out in that car.
Man and machine.
Are you going to do the same thing with the TVR?
I've actually got a head unit. Funny enough, it's right here. It was a donation from a friend, and it does. You know,
retro stuff. It's got a disc in it.
Bluetooth. It's what?
It's got a CD player. Nothing comes with a CD player anymore.
Do you know what? Do you know what? It'll probably be the only place I'll have a CD player, and I've got a massive collection of CDs, all my old stuff. So it'd be quite nice to listen to a CD. To be honest,
I'm with you on that. Nobody can. If you stop subscribing, you lose to these, Spotify's and Apple Music. You lose your music collection. Once you buy it on CD, you've got it forever, and it can't be replaced with some remastered version. Or I'm off on another tangent here. I'm the same. I've got hundreds of CDs in my office, and I like the process of getting a CD out of a case and putting it into the. I'm less so in the car, but yeah, I mean, I think. There's something to be said for that.
To be honest, it'd be less dangerous me changing a CD in the TVR than it will be to try and find the heated seats on the Tesla. No, I'm joking. Changing the mirror angle, because I don't think you can do that on the move. That's annoying. But yeah, we're just basically talking about us being old and like not accepting the change, I suppose. But is it changing the right way? I think people being glued to screens isn't. We're all guilty of it, but yeah, having the kids on there is scary times, isn't it?
But I have been criticised by some of the younger people in work with me when I've said I've gone out and bought a CD, and they're like, "Oh, why have you bought? What's that for? Why have you bought it on disc? Just stream it."
Yeah, but the scary stuff is people don't even know what cassettes are these days, so that's the scary thing. Mini disc.
Well, cassettes are coming back in. I've got mini discs in the attic as well. I found a floppy disk in the attic the other week. Well, I was clearing some stuff out, and the kids had never seen one before. To them, it's the icon that you click on for saving things. That's all it is. And so to actually see that, and the younger of my two boys, he went, "That's like the one in your office, isn't it?" And I've got a signed Fatboy Slim album in my office, which the cover of that is a floppy disk, and it's the only time he's actually seen one of these mythical items in real life. I said, when I was growing up, they were even bigger. They were twice the size, and they were floppy. I remember those things. They used to make a grunting noise when you fired them up. And you could.
Oh yeah, there was the proper floppy ones. Then there was the hard disk, wasn't there? But no, I've got
floppy ones. Yeah.
I've got quite a few cassette tapes up in the loft. My old tape packs from back in the day.
It really has got one of those in your TVR
and all that sort of stuff.
Yes, Helter Skelter, Sidewinder, all of that. Chav-tastic
DJ
stuff.
Dougal,
Hell yeah,
and Force and Styles and all that sort of stuff.
Vibes and Lively.
Yeah, I've got a signed Vibes record somewhere as well. He did a live gig out. Sorry, now we're really on a tangent.
Okay,
a live gig out at my local record shop in 1997.
Now, the fact that you have that, I've MC'd to one of Vibes' sets before.
Really? Now I need to find the photo of this.
Well, do you know what? My mate actually might have the video of that. Basically, this guy, it was in this club in Northampton. Vibes was playing, and this guy was on the mic, and he was gone. I don't know what he'd done, but he was just not there. And my mate Scotty, who used to DJ at Helter Skelter and all that sort of stuff, he goes, "Tim, grab the mic," and I'm like, "All right." It's only for like a couple of songs, but yeah. And I always used to love a bit of Vibes and Lively back in the day. But yeah, they were at because there was a big rave meeting in Milton Keynes that I went to last year. That was like supposed to be a bit of a reunion, so that was fun. Oh, here we go. We've got people that want us to talk about cassettes because obviously other people have got it.
Mark solved Mark solved the EV hate for us. This is where we've been doing wrong. All EVs should have simulated the noise of a horse. Everyone would have loved them. We'd have been going back to the roots of it.
Do you know what my Tesla makes? I can make it make a horse noise, actually. I'm still running cassettes in the Honda, now hooked up an MP3 player. God, I love the Honda cassette. Clarion, maybe. Reaching into the glove box for a cassette is definitely more dangerous than using a screen. Depends on that. You haven't seen my glove box.
Oh, actually, no, I'm not going to try and...
I'll make everyone laugh now while I cry. This is the glove box for the TVR. It looks like I don't know if this is standard, but it looks like it was
someone's cupboard.
Yeah, this is the genuine wooden. It's actually, is it wood? Don't know. I think it's bad wood with nice shiny wood on top. Anyway, I've got some. Hang on, I'll tell you what else I've got here. I hope I didn't show you too much.
Show and tell with Tim.
There we go. TVR dashboard. That we're not using this. It's a bit, yeah.
It's got the DIN slot for the stereo though. Only single DIN. God, that's a bit retro, isn't it? Single DIN slot.
Yeah, I don't know where the old stereo's gone. It's all going to be very, very bespoke. But yeah. So obviously I'm going to CV show this week. It's going to be a big one. And so I'm sure there will be a video out, probably a few shorts. So check it out. And this week I've got a battery test on Rusty, and I updated the Nginx modules as well. So that's the latest video coming out on Wednesday. And then the following week should be a video on the TVR. So what about yourself, guys? What are you guys up to?
So I'm CV show on Tuesday. What am I? And then on the weekend, I've got a few cars on test. BMW i4, Corsa Yes, and Aura 03 GT. I'm probably going to do a side-by-side with the Aura and the Corsa because they're very similar kind of sizes, I would have said. I'm not going to test the BMW against it, obviously.
I'm curious to see what the Corsa's like, actually. Having lived with the top spec one, I'm actually really interested to see what the lowest, the bottom of the range one's like. So I reckon it'd be a good little car.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought, because I was trying to... It's got the smallest wheels in the range, and with me thinking of efficiency, I thought that should, in theory, be more efficient than your ultimate one that we did London to Brighton in.
But it's got the old motor, hasn't it?
Nope. They've just launched the one with the new... You can get the Yes with the old motor
I remember you saying
the new motor. And this is the brand new 25 plate new motor one. So
I feel like this is a dedicated video that I need to do, where aka Chargeheads, goes to the Vauxhall dealer and tries all the Vauxhalls and tries to change his mind that he doesn't think that that he'd never buy one. So maybe I should drive all three: the Grandland, the Astra, and the Corsa, and see if it changed my mind. Because I can't just say that they're all Vauxhalls are rubbish without actually driving the most recent EVs, because that wouldn't be fair and balanced, would it, chaps?
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Exactly. And on that bombshell, Alex, you got anything else going on this week?
I'm sorry.
Oh, secret squirrel. Of course it is. But we'll be back again next week. Don't forget, this is now on Spotify as well, and it's on X. But we'll have a roundup of the news. And no, we've got a guest next week. I'm sure we have. Let me just check.
Well, this is when you find out you had a guest this week and you forgot to let them
in. Yeah, we've got him next week. Yeah, super. I will highlight it on the channel. Good stuff. Right, guys, I will see everyone next week. Thank you very much for joining in. Thanks for whacking the comments in. We'll see you next week for another episode.
Night all. Cheers.
So, yeah.